After the release of the Season 8 in Apex Legends with all new stuff and changes in the field, it's time to make a new video about getting the right configurations to ensure the best smooth experience for your game. In my old video, I used the monitoring tools to make sure that we are always limited by our CPU and RAM speed, not the GPU, and for that we disabled ultra low latency because it appears to introduce additional input lag once we become limited by the CPU or the RAM speed. If you are a competitive gamer, then you are more likely to be using an Nvidia graphic card in your gaming rig, especially after Nvidia introduction of what they call Nvidia Flex, which is a smart way to ensure low latency and competitive games that supports it. And that is an amazing step forward from Nvidia to us. The feature is free for all, so all you have to do is to install the latest drivers and you are ready to go. In this video, we are going to find out how to implement that feature alongside a frame rate limit and get the best experience for our game. But before that, be sure to drop a like and let me know if you want to ask something down in the comment section below. In our last video, we said that you should never limit your frame rates in Apex Legends because that will introduce a lot of input lag. Today, the story is different because Nvidia have changed things with the reflex feature. We are going to limit the frame rates to a value our system can maintain for vast majority of the time. Before that, make sure you are running the latest version of Windows 10. To do that, go to Settings, System, to About, and it should be 20H2. If it is an older version, then go ahead and update your operating system right now before you proceed to the rest of the guide. It's important to note that you should not skip any tip from the guide because any small action that you don't follow can be the reason why you still have annoying gameplay. First, we are going to clean up our system from background applications and server services that may affect our game frame rates. To do that, type run, open msconfig, go to services, hide all Microsoft services, and disable everything you don't use or you don't really need. Try not to keep anything. So I'm gonna disable all these dump into stuff and also Samsung mobile connectivity. Gonna keep my Steam, and here we go. Let's go to startup, open task manager, and disable every program that you don't need. Once you are done, click OK and restart your system. Now the next step is going to be using a lovely small tool which name it TCP Optimizer. This is a very important tool. I'll leave the link down in the description to download it. We are going to optimize our internet connection for gaming using this small tool. Also, run as administrator. You should run this as administrator or it may not work properly. Here in the slider up, set your maximum download speed, internet download speed, and check custom. Copy and paste all these settings exactly as shown. Disable, disable, disabled, enable, disable, disabled, enable, CTCP, disabled, normal. Now go to advanced settings and here set your network throttling to disable, system responsiveness to gaming 0, TCP ASIC frequency disabled, TCP no delay disabled, del ASIC text disabled, and then go to MTU latency tab and check your largest MTU. Now you should find your optimal final NTU value here. Now copy this value, go to general settings again, and set it over here. Then apply changes. It will ask you to make a copy of your registry. Do it or don't do it, doesn't matter at all. Apply changes and restart your system. Now what you're gonna do is to go to Nvidia control panel, and we are going to adjust image setting to review, use the advanced 3D image settings, apply, then take me there. Once we are there, under image sharpening in global settings, make sure GPU scaling is on. Now go to program settings, Apex Legends. If it's not here, then press add, find it here. You should be able to see it somewhere here. Now we want to disable the FXAA filtering, the anisotropic filtering. We want to disable anti-aliasing, and we want to keep the gamma correction on. Now move down to low latency mode. Set that to ultra if you are on GTX 900 series or a newer card like GTX 10 series or 20 or 30 series, whatever. And if you are on older than 900 series cards, then you should set this to off. And if you are on AMD, also set Radeon anti-lag to off. If you want to know why, you can ask me down in the comment section below. I'll be sure to answer why. Now you want to set the texture filtering quality to high performance and triple buffering to off. That's all. Click apply and close. Now it's time to set a custom resolution for a testing purpose. Now the custom resolution is going to make the game look very shit, I know, but we are doing this to make sure that our graphic card is not holding the CPU performance. So if the graphic card was being if the CPU was being bottlenecked by the graphic card, then this is going to affect the latency a lot. We don't want that to happen. So we want the CPU to be maxed out while the GPU barely maxed out. To do that, we are going to change resolution, set on customize, and create a custom resolution. Now if you have a 16:9 monitor ratio like me, then a 1080p monitor, then use calculator the math to do the following. 66, in my case it was 66. I'm gonna multiply it by 16, the upper ratio, which comes out 1056. So this is the horizontal pixels. We don't want to make a bigger than that. We want it to be as much loose as possible, as much low as possible. The other value is gonna be 66 by multiply it by the other ratio, which is the 9. Outcomes 594. Now in your case, if you have, for example, 16:10, you are going to multiply 66 by 16, 1056, and 66 by 10, 66 by 10, outcomes 660. So 1056 by 66, 660. And if you have like 32 by for example 32 by 9, a ultra wide monitor, then multiply the 32 by, let's say, a 44, outcomes 1408. And now multiply the 44 with 9, out comes 396. So it's going to be 1400 whatever by 396. I think you got the idea. And set your refresh rate to maximum. In my case, my monitor is 144 Hz, so I'm setting it to 144. Keep it on progressive, press test. The monitor will test the new resolution, and if it's already possible to reveal everything correctly, then you are ready to go. Take a note of your new resolution. My resolution was the 1056 by 594 and 144 Hz 32-bit progressive scan. There is an important trick here, which is deleting the saved game file. That's gonna fix a lot of stuff. Don't worry, that won't make you lose your advancement in the game, because your advancement is already on the cloud. So all you have to do is to go to C, users, username, saved games, and delete respawn folder. After that, fire up the game, and it's time to set our preferred settings depending on our hardware and the case before we set the custom resolution in the end. Now what you're gonna do is to go to settings, video, and make sure Nvidia Reflex is enabled. Don't set it to boost. That's not gonna give you any advantage at all. And it will also raise your graphic card thermals. It will use more power of your system, make it more hot, and will probably reduce your graphic card lifespan. But we don't want that to happen. We don't need any of this, because there is absolutely no gain with boost. Now, what you are going to do is to set everything to disabled and none. Disabled and none. Except the texture streaming budget, which can be depending on your graphic card VRAM already. If you have a 3 GB graphic card, then set it to 3. If you have 6, 4, 8, whatever, set it what match your graphic card exactly. And for the field of view, set it wherever you like. Once you are done, press apply and then plus the game. Moving on to the next step. If you have a headphone like me, or a headset or whatever, then you should enable spatial sound with Windows Sonic for headphones. Make sure it is enabled, and then go to C, users, username, saved games, respawn, Apex, local, and open settings CFG file with a notepad. Scroll down to the bottom and look for sound number of speakers. Now this is the number of speakers. Make sure this set to 8. Otherwise, none of the settings is going to work. So make sure this is set to 8 channels, which is 7.1. Now, once you are done, plus save, and you're ready to go. If you don't have a headphone, you have a stereo speakers, then don't do this. You should not do this. Only if you have a headset. Now it's time to set our custom resolution we created earlier in the game. To do that, go to save it game folder again and see users, username, save it games, respawn, Apex, local, and open video config file. Do not change any of these values. A lot of guys say that, oh, if you maybe drop down a level of detail a bit, OD, you're gonna get performance. That's not true. You're not going to get any performance out of any weird change you can do here. Now, what we're gonna do is to set our custom resolution down here. So it was 1056 by 594 for me, and then save, close. Now it's time to install a new cool software called MSI Afterburner. I'll leave the link down below if you want to download it if you don't have it already. I have it installed, so let's fire it up as administrator, of course. Now go to settings, to benchmark tab, and set your key bindings here. For me, I set Alt 6 to begin recording and Alt 7 to stop benchmarking. Now you can show your benchmark results here, and now all you have to do is to open up Private Tuner Statistics server and show on screen display, set it to on, detection level low, don't set it more than that. Frame rate limit, we're not going to touch this right now, at least. And make sure show on statistics is enabled, is on. Once you are done, minimize, don't close. Minimize, okay? Now, let's run the game. Go to Olympus map, and we are going to find out what is the optimal frame rate. In my case, I found that East State Autumn area is the most heavy place I can go in this game. For me, it could be different for you. So we are heading to Autumn East State area. Once you touch the ground, we are going to start benchmarking immediately. Hopefully we get more enemies there, so that becomes more intensive. And once you hit your key binding button, Private Tuner Statistics server should show the line above here, which have the average frame rates, the maximum, the 1% low, the minimum, and all this stuff. It will also be stored in the text file, benchmark test file, that you can view in MSI Afterburner that I showed before. Now once you finish at least 40 or 50 seconds, you can stop your benchmark, take a note of your average frame rates, and then close the game. Now what you're gonna do is to go to game launch options and set a new frame rate limit equals your previous average frame rate you found earlier in the game benchmark. Now run the game again and start benchmarking process again, and then log your new average frame rate. It should be lower than previous one. Then close the game and set that as a new frame rate limit. Repeat the process over and over again until you reach a point your average frame rate is less by 1 frame than your frame rate limit you have set before. In this case, you have reached your perfect frame rate limit. Actually, the process may not be as easy as I said. It may take a long time to find your perfect frame rate limit, because it's very hard to guess the areas where you would get lower average frame rates. So I'm gonna show you some of my tests that I logged in benchmark test text of Afterburner. So I started benchmarking in King Canyon with a 110 FPS limit. I found that my average was 107, and that was not a very demanding area. So I tested that again at 107. I set the average I got before as the new limit, and I still got lower. So I thought I maybe should change the area, and here what I got, a 99.8, which is a 100 average frame rate in more demanding area with an intense fight in King Canyon. So I set the new frame rate limit at 100, and I still have 3 frames difference here. So I set the 97 here again, and I found it very good, and I thought maybe I reached my frame rate limit. But here's the thing, I started benchmarking in Olympus, so I got much lower average frame rate in Olympus, and it seems like Olympus is more demanding map than King Canyon. So I got 94 frames here. Then I set the 94 again in Olympus, and what I got is a 91. So here what I thought I have really reached my frame rate limit. So I thought maybe I should try more and more areas, and I found that I still have the same and the same. I've actually made tons of benchmarks under here, but I have deleted them all because I don't need them anymore. So I found that in Autumn Estate area is going to be the lowest frame rate for me. That's for me, it may be different for you. For me, it was the lowest place for me, and I thought maybe I have reached my frame rate limit. And I got really satisfied with I don't think that I need to test anymore, because I have dropped everywhere in the map, almost everywhere. I think that this is the most demanding area, really. And now after that, I started with the native resolution. I got the settings and changed the resolution to native again to see what's going to happen. And I didn't get much lower frame rates. And here you may get too much lower frame rates if your GPU was limiting your performance. If your CPU was very good but your GPU was not really good, you're going to have a massive difference here. So after this, I thought maybe I should drop a 1 resolution level. So what I got in Autumn Estate is 84, so a bit higher. Now I dropped 2 levels again, and I got an 85. Well, still not the results I want. And then I dropped 3 levels below, which was the 1600 by 900, which was my final resolution, and I got the average frame rate, which is an 86, below 1 frame of my limit. So all I had to do is to enable Nvidia image sharpening, and I was ready to go. I'll show that later in the video. Now, from this level of low custom resolution to this level of a native resolution, you may get no different average frame rate whatsoever. In this case, your graphic card is not yet maxed out, and there is more room of performance that we can make use of. So the next step is going to be raising model details to high, and see if that is going to drop your average frame rate you got earlier on your low custom resolution. And if it does, then get it back to medium, and if it still does, get it back to low, save, and you are ready to go. Well, if you for example was on medium or high and you still have the same frame rate, then it's time to try changing the filtering of the textures. set it to x16, x8, x4. Find what does not drop your frame rate any lower than before. Even one frame is not accepted. One frame on average means a lot of frames. It's one frame on average means that your minimum frame rate is going to drop, your 1% low is going to drop, everything else is going to drop. We don't want that. So, and if you, for example, was on x4, x2 or whatever, and on medium or high, and you still have the same frame rates, then it's time to try if ambient occlusion is going to drop your performance. If it doesn't, then hey, good, great. If it does, keep it disabled. Now it's time for volumetric lightening, which is probably more important than ambient occlusion. Ambient occlusion is just a weird effect that when you go from a high lighted area to a dark area, it does not worth it at all. But it's cool graphics, so why not enabling it? Anyway, the volumetric lightening controls the amount of lights, and that may have a good impact on your graphics. So if enabling that does not drop your performance, then that's good. If it does, then keep it disabled and you're ready to go. So model details are the highest priority, then texture filtering, then volumetric lightening, and finally ambient occlusion. Now, if you are like me, ended up dropping your resolution below your native to get more frame rates, this means that you have to enable image sharpening in your control panel. To do that, go to Nvidia control panel, go to manage 3D settings, program settings, Apex Legends, and set image sharpening to Nvidia recommended 50% and 70% for ignoring film grain. Press apply, and here you go. Now let's say that you dropped your resolution to 720p and you still have a dropped average frame rates over your previous average frame rates you found in the low custom resolution. In this case, we are going to set a new custom resolution that suits our PC performance. So, for example, your previous custom resolution was, like me, 1056 and by 5.9 or 594. We got that by multiplying 66 with 16, the ratio, and 66 with a 9. Now we want to try higher than 66, so let's say, for example, use always couple numbers like 76 by 16. Oh, that's actually much, so let's try less. 74, let's say 74 by 16. Here we go, 1184. The other would be 74, multiply it with 9, so 666. So the resolution is 666 by 1184. If that still drop your resolution, then try this 70 maybe. 70 with 16, 1120. 70 with a 9 and 630. If it does not drop your performance, maybe you should then try something between, like 72, multiply it by 16, and here we go, 72 again by 9. So the ratio is 16 by 9. we multiply the 16 with the custom number we create to see if that is an ideal resolution that does not drop the performance. Now, well, what if you still have dropped frame rates whatsoever than your low custom resolution? This could probably means that you are on a very weak graphic card, and dropping your resolution below 1054 or was 1056 is going to be weird. You may play at this bad resolution. I know it is a bad resolution, but that's your graphic card. 1056 by 594. 594. Yeah. Once you found your custom resolution, now it's time to go to control panel again and enable Nvidia image sharpening as shown before in the program settings and Apex Legends. Here we go. Now there is something we should discuss now, which is your frame rates are higher than your monitor refresh rates. So for example, if your final frame rate limit was a 90 FPS and you are on a 60 Hz monitor, this means you are going to have a tearing line issue, which could be annoying while gaming, and that could make your experience unsmooth. So to solve that, we are not going to enable any sync options like VSync or fast sync, G-sync or whatever. We are not going to use any of this because that's not gonna help at all. If you can get away with tearing lines using your monitor G-sync, then that's cool. But from my experience, you should enable VSync alongside enabling G-sync in order for you to remove tearing. And I found that VSync actually makes more delay to your latency, and we don't want that. So you have high frame rates, cool, but you have tearing issues. To solve that, we are going to use a small lovely tool, which is scan line sync in the RTSS server. Now first we need to spot the tearing line. To spot the tearing line, go to the tunnel and look at the wall here. Keep moving right and left, right and left, right and left. You should be able to spot the tearing lines. They are at most 2 lines if you have a higher refresh rate, higher frames than your monitor refresh rates.
Shop's open for business.
So once you spotted your tearing lines, minimize your game, go to Rivet Tuner Statistics servers and try adding minus values, for example minus 10, and then get back to your game and see if the tearing line is still there. Once you hit that value, you will either see your tearing lines moving, or they are just the same place you saw them previously. So if you saw them where they was exactly, they didn't move at all, they're still in the same place, then try setting more aggressive values like minus 15, 50, and go to game again, see if that is going to move the tiering lines. Now you may set something as high as 500. It really depends on your hardware, on your monitor. I don't know. Uh, Everyone have specific settings. You may end up minus 15. You may end up minus 10. You may, in the end, you would see the tiering lines moving up and down.
Activating jump drive.
And once you find the tiering lines are very close to the bottom or the top and they disappear, this means you have reached your perfect sync settings, and all you have to do is to click on add, search for your game. And it's here. No. Here we go. Now for this game, you are going to set your scanline sync here. We are not going to set that globally. It's really depends on the game too. So we're going to set that to Apex only. Set your preferred scanline syncs, save, and you're ready to go. Alright, thanks you guys for watching. This is all I have for you today, and please hit the like button. I'm pretty sure this settings is going to make you a beast in the game, and see you next time.